Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final edition of Around the Garage, the NASCAR podcast here on CSL, at least for this semester. I'm Zachary Kendall,
And I'm in Fortney.
and it's Talladega, baby. That's right, Talladega to close us out. And before we get into the race itself on Sunday, I gotta discuss something that NASCAR on Fox has been showcasing more and more each and every week, and that is the pit crews for not just like one organization, but around NASCAR in general. The pit crews I think get overlooked, especially with the the um the old generations of cars. Because
Yeah.
with the old generations of cars, you can make passes on the racetrack. It was easier. With this next gen car, I don't want to say it's obviously it's not impossible to pass, but it makes your life a lot easier if your pit crew can get you some spots as well as make your life more difficult if they can't and make you drop some spots. I believe the top five pit crews is like Denny Hamlin, Byron Larson, Truex, and Bell. That just shows right there that that group is always up front, running consistently. They're usually the ones that are winning the races, and sometimes that gets overlooked because NASCAR itself is a team sport. So, Aiden, your thoughts about NASCAR becoming it seems like more like a team sport rather than just solely just the driver. I know the driver matters a lot, but the team matters a lot too.
I love it. Pit crew has always been a huge part of NASCAR. Even before this new version of the car. Uh I just loved seeing pit crew members show more love, and like they can have interesting personalities too. You got to think too, like these guys were former professional athletes, former D1 athletes too. So I always enjoy like seeing pit crew interviews personally, mainly because like it's a team sport. Well, yes, the driver's the one that, goes to victory lane and drives the car. The pit crew still has a huge uh job for that to happen. I mean, even at times have championship implications. You think of Kyle Larson in 2021, his pit crew was the one that got him the good track position right at the end of the Phoenix race. But yeah, pit crew, I love seeing them get more attention, seeing them get interviews. I love it personally.
Yeah, I also do like the fact that again I talked about it. NASCAR on Fox has been showcasing them more and more, telling their stories a little bit because they do matter. They do matter. Obviously, it ain't just the driver. He's a team behind him, and like he said, Kyle Larson won his championship back in 2021 with the old car, but he won it because his picker got him out in the lead at the right moment, right time. So okay, yeah, that's the first I want to touch on. Another thing I want to touch on real quick: NASCAR has removed the Talladega pylon, the driver scoring in the infield. I don't know why they're doing this. They've like done it at another track, I know that, but they did it here at Talladega. I don't know why. I've heard that it's because they want to have more like visual boards in the infield, but I don't know. I'm a big traditionalist, and I don't like the fact that NASCAR seemingly kills off traditions, minus the Coca-Cola 600 because that's such a big race. But I don't know. I kind of like seeing the pylon out in the infield, as well as I know some of the drivers do as well, and like they don't like it. So
Uh, I don't really have much of opinion personally. I'm kind of the opposite of you. The pylon to me has just kind of been more in the way personally, like watching down the back stretch, and then I'll just have to like zoom past the pylon. Plus, I don't even see it in racing that much. I just know, like personally, whenever I've gone to a NASCAR race, I paid more attention to the video board that was showing like the drivers and what position they were in, like scrolling across the top on the jumbotron or whatever. I really haven't paid that much attention to pylons, but I get the appeal. They are classic. They have been around forever. Uh, so I understand why some people will be upset about this, but me personally, yeah, take it or leave it.
I've heard that the NASCAR is going to be gathering some feedback from fans that are at the Talladega race uh, today. They're gonna see if they like it or not. So I guess let's wait and see if they want to put some back or maybe just leave it as is. But anyways, the big talking point I think I've seen going around, and that is we are now, well, this is race 10, but we have completed 9 races so far, and NASCAR schedule is 36 races. That means we are about a quarter of a way. We are a quarter of a way done. So we're going to be grading every team's cup series. We're going to be grading every team season up to this point. So let's get started. First up, we got Legacy Motor Club.
That me or
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Legacy Motor Club. Uh C plus, I guess. They're not as bad as last year. Last year they were horrendous. But I feel like this team could still like improve. I feel like this team can still be better. Personally, I think at this team's best, they can have a playoff spot with Eric Jones, possibly John Hunter Nemechek being in the hunt. They're not really there yet, but they are much improved from last year. So I don't know. To me, it was just kind of like, doing all right. So I'm giving them the most average grade you can possibly give, C plus.
Yeah, I'm basically in the same boat too. I'll give them a B minus. This team obviously has gone through a lot of changes in a short amount of time. They had like added the 42 car to the 43 car. They changed the name to Legacy Motor Club. They added on Jimmy Johnson and new ownership, and then made the switch over to Toyota. So a lot of transition. They just need some stability, I feel like, and then get the ground running. And right now, like again, you say statistically they are better as a team this year than they were last year. Both of them are 19th and 20th in points, which I know ain't the best, especially if you're going to be a key Toyota partner, you want to be running maybe just a little bit better. But I will give them a pass because again they've had so much transition so far in their young this team's transition so far in their young careers as a
Mhm.
team and the organization as a whole. So B minus, C plus. Next team up, and probably one of two teams that dominated so far this year. That's Joe Gibbs Racing.
Uh, I'm giving them I'll give him an A minus right now. I'll give him an A minus. Denny Hamlin, A plus right now, championship contender. Ain't really more I have to say about him. Not Joe Gibbs, Ty Gibbs, also running pretty good, has shown some pretty good speed recently. The reason why they're kind of low for me is Christopher Bell. Bell has been kind of hit or miss this year. Yes, he got that win at Phoenix. Yes, they're in the playoffs right now, but he's just been really inconsistent. That's why I cannot quite give this team an A plus just yet. Obvious, but Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, championship threat, Ty Gibbs somewhere in there. It's just Christopher Bell's just kind of lagging behind a little bit.
I will say, I think Bell's always been, and his team has always been like a second half team. They always seem to turn it on, always seem to find good results. However, I will give them an A minus like you. Again, Denny Hamlin, championship contender, one of the four drivers to beat, obviously, week in, week out. Truex, I feel like Truex to me, he leaves some results on the table. And it's not really him. Again, we talked about it, the pit crews. His pit crew has consistently costed him spots. And I feel like that's like what's hurt his finishes a little bit. But otherwise, he still is top five in points. So he's still doing pretty good. Ty Gibbs is avoiding the sophomore slump and doing really well up to this point. And you said it, Bell has been off kind of like the last couple of weeks, especially. But here, this season has been kind of hit or miss so far, but it's still really early. It's only again quarter of the season, but A minus for Joe Gibbs Racing. Uh, their counterpart in the final Toyota team, 2311.
I'll give 2311 a B. They're kind of about the same as last year. Obviously Tyler Reddick's eighth with Bubba Wallace being ninth. Kind of kind of where they were. Bubba Wallace has improved, is a lot better now compared to last year, while Tyler Reddick has kind of slumped down just a little bit, but they're still a fast, solid team. And I believe both Reddick and Bubba will get a win sometime this year. But really, I don't see this team as a championship threat yet. I can see like maybe Reddick and Bubba being like a round of eight, maybe driver, but yeah, I don't know what else to add to that. Just 2311 B for me.
I'm gonna give him a B plus, and it's because Bubba Wallace has always tended to gotten off to slower starts in his Cup career, but this year has not been the case. He actually has done really well to this point. Again, he said he's like ninth in points. The thing that holds 2311 back, in my opinion, the pit crews itself. They've been training their own pit crews, and they just have failed consistently. Especially Tyler Reddick, they have failed him consistently when he's had chances to get some wins. They've consistently cost him some track position, some time on the racetrack. As a matter of fact, he's also had a couple of loose wheels that took him out of contention for some good results. But so far, they've done just what they need to do, which is run really well, both of them, and that's why I'm gonna give them a B plus. First team on the list that's probably not going to do so well, and that's the Wood brothers.
F. They have not looked good since Matt DiBenedetto was in that car. Uh, Harrison Burton has just regressed. Uh, and he's just not good. And I don't think Harrison Burton's going to be in that car next year. And I don't know. Wood Brothers has significantly gone backwards ever since this next gen car has been released.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got to give him an F2. I talked about it. Harrison Burton was not off to the best start. He has not. That happened a couple episodes ago. He has not turned around at all either. He had that great special move at Texas where he took the lead for a brief moment, and then he finished 29th. I I don't know how it's possible, but he's got, yeah, again, you say he's declined every single year. He's been in Cup for 3 years now. This is his third year. He's gotten worse every year. I don't even know how that's possible. You're supposed to be like, first rookie year, obviously, I'll give you a little bit of a pass because you're new. And then
His first ever race was him running fourth, flipping, and it's somehow gotten worse from there. I don't know how that's possible, but he somehow did it.
I don't know, but there's not much more to say about the Wood brothers, but they have certainly have to turn things around. Harris Burton, if he somehow can figure a way to turn around and save his career, congrats. But right now, it's not looking very good. Team Penske.
Penske, I'll give a B. And if they didn't have Ryan Blaney, I might give him a D. Uh, l- let's start with the positives. Ryan Blaney, seventh in points, has looked like a championship contender, has been up front, has recently wrecked out of races, hasn't had the results they want, but he's the flagship Ford car right now. Like he's Ford's guy. But Joey Logano, yes, he's had some decent runs here recently, but he has looked terrible. It has looked like his worst season since he was in a Joe Gibbs car, and Austin Cindric looks like a bust more every single week. I don't think he's going to last too much longer in that two car. Uh, Penske, Ford as a whole has slowed down, but Penske has taken a lot of it. You got to also think about the Wood brothers too, that we just mentioned. They're, you know, secondary team, flagship team, whatever you want to call it. But Penske has not looked good. They're championship level team, and right now, other than Ryan Blaney, they're not looking like it at all.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a B minus. If they didn't have Ryan Blaney, they're more in the C minus D category up to this point. I expect a lot from Logano. He's a two-time champion. I think a lot of people do as well. And he has not gotten off to the best start. Now, granted, the last 3 weeks he has gotten some quiet, decent finishes. But it seems to me Logano's not running up front. He's not getting stage points. He's not, delivering the results that I expect a two-time champion and Paul Wolf too. Remember, Paul Wolf is his crew chief to deliver. Austin Cindric is doing about the same, if not maybe a little worse. But Ryan Blaney, again, you talked about it, flagship Ford driver, flagship Ford car, doing really well so far this year. Needs to keep it going. It's a threat to win today, I will say, obviously, because it's Talladega. But and I think this is Ford's best shot up to this point to win a race. But otherwise, Team Penske gets a B minus from me. If they didn't have Ryan Blaney, they'd be in real big trouble though. Stuart Haas.
I'll give Stewart Haas a B plus actually, mainly because where they were at last year. Last year, they looked bad. It was Kevin Harvick and no one else, pretty much. But this year, Chase Briscoe, 12th in points. A lot better than last year, even though last year he did have that penalty. Uh, Noah Gragson has had some really good runs. Ryan Priest even hasn't looked terrible this year. And Josh Berry has shown some flashes. It's they haven't like quite put it all together yet, other than really Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe has really been running well recently. But compared to where they were last year, where the team looked hopeless, even at the start of the year when they first got that penalty at not Atlanta. Was it Atlanta or was it Las Vegas?
I think it was after Las Vegas.
Okay, after Las Vegas. The team looked hopeless, and they really have turned it around quite a bit this year. They're not quite at that championship level they were in like 2018 and before that. So that's why I'm not putting them in the A category, but I am going to give them a B plus.
I'm gonna give him a B. Josh Berry obviously being a rookie in the Cup, essentially. I know he had some starts with Hendrick filling in, but this is his first full time season in Cup. He's doing okay, I think. And then Ryan Priest also is doing okay. Grayson has had some decent runs, especially I think he's outperforming even what I think a lot of people had him doing. And then Chase Briscoe is back to his usual self being the flagship. He is the flagship guy. He's the flagship car there at Stewart Haas in the 14.
He's the face of Stewart Haas right now, and really he's been kind of shaping up to be the face of Stewart Haas for a long time now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna give Stewart Haas a B. Hopefully they can get some more speed in their cars because I'd like to see all four cars maybe run a little bit better, maybe some top 15s for all of them, but pretty solid, I think, so far. Rick Ware.
Uh, I'll give them a C minus because they are a little bit better than last year, to be fair. Justin Haley has, as much as we make fun of him, he has like looked okay at times. They've looked better than they did last year. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it because last year they were the 36th place car, and this year they're the 30th place car. So it's improvement, but yeah.
I don't have much expectations for Rick Ware. Obviously, they've had some more speed this year, though, so that's why I'm gonna give them a C. And I think for them, that's actually pretty good, because like you say, they've been a last place team, a last place car, and this year with Justin Haley specifically, they've had some decent speed. I know the finishes still aren't there, but I remember Justin Haley for a couple weeks there was running top 20s, and Rick Ware racing on speed alone. So you know, Rick Ware just again it's building slowly building. And I think with what Justin Haley's done so far this year, they got to be happy about it. RFK Racing.
I'll give RFK. I'll give him a B minus because I feel like they could definitely be better. I mean, last year Chris Buescher was a championship threat. Brad Keselowski was knocking on the door of there. Uh, right now, Brad Keselowski 17th, Chris Buescher 13th. I will say this though, last year at the start of the year, they were around in the same spot. They didn't get hot till later in the year. So personally, if I'm an RFK fan, I'm not worried right now. But and not to mention, it's Talladega week. Both Chris Buescher and especially Brad Keselowski are really good here. So this team can turn it around. It's not panic mode, but it's might have to start stepping it up just a little bit.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe just a little bit more coming from RFK because, Busher finally had taken that step. Seemed like he had his best career year, obviously, 3 wins. Rob Keselowski, I thought was going to break his winless streak this year. And so far they have 0 wins. But again, you talked about they've been running about the same they did last year, the start of last year. And then they got hot in the summer and then especially in the playoffs. So
Mhm.
with that, I'll give them a B because they are running basically how you expect them to be, especially with this car, like the Ford new car. We talked about Ryan Blaney's being the face of Ford, which he is, because obviously he's the previous champion, and he has been pulling out better results, I think, than RFK. But RFK is not doing too bad so far. Front row,
Front row, I'll give him an A minus. Uh, Michael McDowell, he's a little bit worse than I thought, actually.
yeah,
I'll give them a B plus. I changed my grade B plus, but they have looked really good and they have the speed. With the new Penske no RFK sponsorship, my bad. They have shown they got speed. Todd Gilliland has shown some pretty good flashes, especially at super speedways, which is where they're at right now. Uh yeah, front row racing has actually looked pretty good this year. I think they could get back to victory lane. If that happens, it'll be Michael McDowell. I don't think Todd Gilliland's there yet, but there's just like Legacy Motor Club, they're like slowly working their way back up. And yeah, I really like the direction front row racing is going right now. Michael McDowell's results could be just a little bit better, but they're still doing solid.
Yeah, his results could be better. And because I feel like they have raised they themselves have raised their expectations higher, I think that I'm gonna give them a B. Michael McDowell, again, his results have been fine, but I've expected a little more than that. But Todd Gillen, especially that Atlanta race, he really shocked me. He led a bunch of laps. Um, Again, it's only a quarter of the season, so they could still find some decent results if they win. Obviously, I feel like it's going to be Michael McDowell that does it. But from front row, slowly but surely, just trying to work their way to the top. They have the new alliance with Penske. So um, because of that, I feel like it's helped them a little bit. Now, obviously, you can't like jump straight from being where they were at, which is top 20s, top 15s, just winning races. That's not how that works. But
Mhm.
front row for me gets a B. Trackhouse.
Trackhouse will they're weird to me.
Yeah, I
I'll
know.
give them a B. I'll give them B plus. I'll give them B plus. Mainly because of that Daniel Suarez win. But without that, I might give him B, maybe even a B minus. Uh, Ross Chastain obviously was a championship threat his first year there in 2022, but really since then has kind of looked like a mid-pack team. Still a driver I expect to like win a race this year and probably round of 12, round of 8, somewhere in there, but he has not looked like a Final Four driver ever since that first year. And Daniel Suarez, minus the nail biter win at Atlanta, has kind of just been a mid-pack team. Again, also not look like his 2022 self. He's kind of still look like himself from 2023. So Trackhouse has definitely been lagging behind. One the supposed to be a top tier Chevy team has not looked that way at all this year. So yeah, B for me.
I'm gonna give him a B minus. Chastain, obviously, Final Four in the first year there at Trackhouse, has not been able to found like new team glory that he found in the first year, because after he won at Nashville last year, he kind of just was just
Disappeared.
almost irrelevant, just about except for the last race of the year where he won. I will say though that this year he's like four top tens. Would have been five if he didn't wreck at the last lap. That was unfortunate for him at Texas last week. But Suarez, again, nail biting finish that he ended up on the right side of. But otherwise, he has two top tens. One of those being that win, and he just has not impressed me all that much. Unfortunately, I was a little bit worried that after that win that he was going to probably drop off a little bit. Unfortunately, that has seemed to be the case because he's not getting the results, not the best results. So that in that case, I'm gonna give him a B minus. Spire.
Spire has uh I'll give him a C plus because LaJoy has kind of looked about the same from last year. Keeping his nose clean, running well, not really DNFing, just being LaJoy. Just being LaJoy. Obviously, uh Hocevar has looked really good this year. I believe he's 22nd. Yeah, he's 22nd in points. And even Zane Smith in a few select starts has looked not too bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spire is a C plus for me. I believe if LaJoy can just like get a few better starts, they might even be B minus for me. But right now, Spire Motorsports C C.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, for me, C plus two as well. LaJoy is doing about how I expect him to do. Hocevar, my bold prediction was that he's going to become the face of Spire. So far, he has proven me right because I feel like he's gotten the best results out of all of them. Zane Smith has disappointed me just a little bit because while I know some of the crashes that he's got involved in, some of the wrecks aren't that technically his fault. He's had some mechanical failures as well. He's been disappointing just a little bit, but otherwise, Spire is doing just about how I expected. So C plus. Richard Childress.
F. Kyle Busch, terrible. Austin Dillon, somehow even worse. Uh, Austin Hill's 33 car is last in owner points. I know it's only been a select starts, but still last in owner points. But uh, they just look bad. Like Kyle Busch is supposed to be the flagship guy, and he's not even in the playoffs right now. Uh, it, Austin Dillon, I haven't even heard his name the entire season. Uh, Kyle Busch, it's just either bad luck, pit crew messes up, or they just straight up miss. And he, there's no other way around it. RCR has just looked terrible, especially compared to last year, especially compared to the year before where they had Tyler Reddick in the eight and Austin Dillon even got a win. That they're just not good. Simple as that.
I'm gonna give him. I'll give him a D because Kyle Busch right now is tied for the last spot. The only reason why he's not in the playoffs right now at this current moment is because Logano has the tiebreaker over him with a better finish of second. But there's not much else to say about RCR. Austin Dillon has become even more irrelevant, I feel like, than last year. Kyle Busch not showing the same speed he was early, like the first half of the last year as well. And they just aren't right now. So they got to turn things around real quick because if you have Kyle Busch in one of your cars, this is not acceptable at all. Colleague,
Colleague,
yeah,
uh, colleague might even get in that. Nah, I'll give him a D. Uh, Obviously the 16 hasn't been running too bad. I'm talking like the 16 car as a whole, as like an owner car. They're in front of the 31, which is really sad, especially the fact that the 31 is, wait, am I right? The 31's the full-time driver. Uh,
Dana.
okay, yeah. Uh, but yeah, they just really hasn't shown any speed. I don't even remember the last time I seen a colored car like up front competing for a win. And they got the 13 as well. I don't even remember seeing the 13 car on track once this year. Uh, you know what? I talked myself into it. They get an F. All their cars are outside the top 30. They have not looked good whatsoever.
It's really, I will say before I get to the grade, it's really sad to see what's happened to Collie because they were like similar to Legacy Motor Club. They came in, they were fresh. They won that Indy road course race with Allmendinger. I know it was only one win, but the fact that they did that was really special. And now to see where they are right now, which is,
Not to mention, also got a win last year with Allmendinger.
yeah, they demoted him back to Xfinity Series,
Mhm.
and now he's outrunning your full time car. So the fact that that's the case, I'm gonna give him an F because that's not acceptable. JTD Doherty.
Uh, I'll give him a C minus, mainly because like how good, you know what, I'll give him a D plus, mainly because like Stenhouse was in the top 16 most of the year, obviously got that win in the 500. And this year, 27th, not really had the speed or the results they had last year. That's really all I got for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Stenhouse a C minus too. Um, Obviously, it's been worse this year than last year, so that's unfortunate to see. But again, my expectations for them are still not very high because obviously anyone can win at Daytona in the 500. So It is what it is. And then the last team, Hendrick Motorsports.
I give them an A. They're the best team in racing right now, and NASCAR, I mean. Larson leads the points. Byron, I think Byron's the best driver in NASCAR right now. Elliott even got a win last week. Bowman's lagging behind, but by lagging behind, he's still in the playoff spot. Like A plus, best team in racing right now.
Yeah, they are the best team in racing, so very solid A. All their teams are in the playoffs, and they have the best driver in NASCAR and William Byron, and then obviously the most talented driver in the field and Kyle Larson. Chase Elliott got that win last week at Texas to break his long win streak, and again Bowman's still in a playoff spot. So all in all, they're really clicking right now for specifically like Byron and Larson, obviously, but Elliott and Bowman are still doing very solid. So yeah, solid A. Well, with that being said, we're gonna get over to the starting lineup, and we got to hurry because we got about 8 minutes left. So
Yep.
to start things off, Kyle Larson.
Uh, he he will run up front and then get wrecked while running up front.
Yeah, he unfortunately has to do a pass through penalty at the start of the race because his roof rails got confiscated. BJ McLeod, I don't expect much. McLeod again with these races, just run around and hopefully a lot of people wreck in front of you and you get gain spots. Noah Gregson.
Top 10.
All right, Carson Osavar. These tracks don't really fit him all that well, I don't think, but I don't know. Spire always seems to pull out some good results, so I'll say top 15. Cody Ware, he's back.
Uh, Somehow 30th.
All right. Recky Stenhouse Jr. Stenhouse, one of the tracks he can win at. I don't expect him to win at though. Top 20. Ross Chastain.
He's a good plate racer, actually. I don't expect him to stay down here for long. I expect him to run up front. I don't think he's going to win, but he'll definitely be in the mix at the end or cause a big wreck to one of the two.
I got Corey LaJoy. LaJoy for a long time was known and still is known as an underrated super speedway racer. If he works well with the Chevrolet, which Chevy does typically do well because they obviously got the most cars in the field, he should be fine. But otherwise, I have a feeling that he's going to wreck today.
Mhm.
Zane Smith.
He's going to be upside down. I don't know how, but he's going to be upside down.
Josh Berry, he has a similar to me driving style. This is going to sound really weird, but similar to me than to Truex. In which case they both don't fit these type of tracks well. So with that being said, I don't expect Berry to finish better than 25th, honestly. Eric Jones.
Eric Jones will somehow be running third and then get wrecked in the tri-oval because that apparently happens to him every single time at Talladega. I don't understand it.
All right. Justin Haley, he's gonna probably finish, unfortunately, around the 30s. I don't expect much. Rick Ware. Chase Briscoe.
Uh, Top 15 for Chase Briscoe. He'll stay clean, but not really be in contention.
I got Daniel Suarez. Again, Suarez not the best super speedway racer. I say that he won at Atlanta, but Atlanta is not Talladega. And Suarez for him, I can see him walking out with a top 20. Anthony Alfredo.
Uh, Top 25, I guess, somewhere around there. Yeah.
I got Hamlin. Hamlin's going to be up in the front. You know he is. He'll find a way to get up there. I know he hasn't been the best super speedway racer compared to when he was in the Gen 6 and now, but he will always find a way to get there at the end. And that's what matters most. Brad Keselowski.
Like you just said, he's always good. This is his best track. Brad Keselowski might arguably be the best Talladega driver of all time. So I think he's going to run up in front, and he will get a top five today.
Another guy that's really good here, and that's Ryan Blaney. Won the fall Talladega race and the playoffs last year. He's going to be top three contention today. John Hunter Nemechek.
Nemechek will be. Nah, he'll get caught up in a wreck. Never mind.
Similar to this guy, Daniel Hemrick, he also will probably get caught up in a wreck too. Tyler Reddick.
Uh, Reddick will somehow also be unfortunately caught up in a wreck.
Guy making another appearance in the Cup Series, Shane Van Gisbergen. I don't expect much from him on Super Speedway. Just don't wreck the car. And unfortunately, that's more easier said than done. Harrison Burton.
He will somehow spin out by himself. at Talladega. I don't know how, but he's going to do it.
All right. I got Ty Gibbs. Gibbs to me is not the best super speed racer, but I expect him to pull off a top 10 today. Bubba Wallace.
Uh, if Bubba Wallace's team plays it well and doesn't make any mistakes, he will be up front competing for the win.
All right. I got William Byron. Byron, I expect him to do really well today. Obviously, great everywhere, just about. So he's going to do really well. Alex Bowman.
Bowman's going to run well and then get caught up in a wreck.
I got Ryan Preece. He unfortunately also will probably get caught up in a wreck today. I just have a feeling there's just going to be this gigantic big one today.
Oh yeah, I got a feeling too.
Christopher Bell.
Uh, Bill's really not a super good speedway racer. I think it's kind of more of his one of his weak points, super speedway racing. Like he's good everywhere else, just kind of like he's kind of like Larson. Larson's good everywhere else except really super speedways. So I think he'll finish in the top 15 somewhere around there.
Matter of fact, speaking of the big one, I feel like he might cause it because he has a knack for causing.
Yes, he does. Yeah, yeah.
Chase Elliott. Elliott's done really well here at Talladega and coming off a win. I expect a top 10 finish for him today. Chris Buescher.
He'll be with his teammate the entire time. If his teammate wrecks, he's going to wreck. But if his teammate runs top five, he's going to run top five.
I got Joe Logano. Logano obviously has a win here at Talladega all the way back in 2016 or
17. 17.
2017. No. I knew it was in that year. The point is, it's been some time since Logano won here. He makes aggressive blocks, and because of that, I feel like he's going to wreck. Truex.
Uh, Always seems to qualify well here, never gets to finish. He's going to get caught up in something and get wrecked.
Another guy that's going to get caught up in something, even though he qualified fifth, and that's Austin Dillon. I don't care if it's super speedway. He will find a way to crash. That's the same way his season is going. Kyle Busch.
Last year I called it. I picked him to win and he won. So I'm going to pick him to finish last place and he will finish last place.
All right. Todd Gillen starts third. He's going to lead some laps, I think, because he's got his teammate with McDowell up here as well. But he's going to fall back, then make his way up to the mid pack, then get up to the front again, and then he's going to go to the back again. Because that's the same way. That's just seemingly how Todd Gillen is. So he's going to probably not finish that great. Austin Cindric.
As much crap as we give Austin Cindric, he is good at super speedways. He's always there with his teammates pushing, but that's all he does really. He just pushes. He doesn't really seem to lead. So I give him a top five. Why not? Rare Austin Cindric top five.
All right. And then the guy on the pole, McDowell, he's going to run really well today. So three guys to look out for. You got to win.
Uh, McDowell, obviously. Blaney might be the next up and coming Brad Keselowski at these tracks. Uh, I'll give my other guy to Bubba Wallace. Like I said, if his team does well, he'll do well. But my guy to win, Chris Buescher. Why not?
All right. McDowell, because he starts on the pole. Keselowski, because he's going for win number 7, which would break Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s tie with him for 6. And then Denny Hamlin, because obviously he's always a threat everywhere. But my guy to win is Ryan Blaney. That's right. He's going to go back to back at Talladega. Ford's going to get their first win of the season. And yeah, so that'll do it for this edition of Around the Garage, the NASCAR podcast here on Cars for Life. As always, make sure to tune in.